So, Mr. Shirtcliffe, could you tell us what your main message was tonight for this meeting?
The first thing we've got to do is get it into our minds we've got to get rid of MMP. To do that, we've got to have a referendum which is neutral and unbiased. And at the moment, there are three discrepancies in the referendum process. The first is the time frame. It will be 2017 before there was any change that was voted for implemented. And that's crazy. It could be 2014 with some adjustments to the timetable and the second referendum held 12 months after the first. The second problem is the way in which the four options are voted for. They should be voted on preferentially, so you in fact put a number by them which shows the order of preference you have. At that point, when you have the second referendum, you have a credible runoff. And the third point is the omission of anything to do with the size of Parliament. We do not need 120 MPs for any of the other four systems. So that should be included in the referendum itself.
Can you say what system you would choose if when you're going to vote in the referendum?
I've got an edge in my thinking towards preferential voting, which is what the Australians have used successfully for probably 80 years. Supplementary member with, say, no more than 20% of the seats as list seats would probably work. It would be my second best, but it would work. Both systems, preferential voting or supplementary member, would be vastly better than MMP.
What do you think the government's current thinking is at the moment on this?
I think the government has biased the referendum to try to retain MMP. And they're crazy. Well, the first thing they've got to do is get their brains around it. So far, I think a lot of voters have given it no attention. And I think voters have got to take an interest in this thing and have some dialogue, have some debate, and understand that there are systems other than first past the post that can deliver a better outcome than MMP. We don't have to go back to the past. I think that MMP, if MMP is voted out, the smaller parties are under major threat. But that's not the point. The point is one of principle. How can we get rid of the excesses of MMP? And I think everybody knows what they are.
What do you think of Rodney Hyde hosting you here tonight, considering the implications for the ACT Party?
Well, I think that demonstrates what we've already come to know, that the ACT Party is a party of principle. It always has been.
Mr. Hunt, why are you so passionate about this issue? What do you say? What's the major problems with MMP?
Well, MMP doesn't deliver democracy. Good electoral systems should encourage people to vote. They should encourage participation. And when the Royal Commission sat in the 80s, it talked about improving the whole body politic, getting more people to vote, encouraging people to participate in political parties, opening the lid on politics. It hasn't done so. We have seen since MMP declining turnouts in general elections, turnouts that are probably lower than they were 80 or 90 years ago. And what was a pretty vibrant democracy in New Zealand is being ebbed away. I mean, if MMP is such a great system, why do fewer people turn out and vote in elections?
Do you think that's because it's too complicated, people don't understand, or?
Well, one of the rules of good electoral systems, and this is why we had first past the post for years, is that they should be simple. We have people in this country who are English second language, who come from countries where there aren't elections, come from totalitarian states. They're not used to voting, and they struggle to understand the complexities of MMP. Even people educated in politics can't get their head around the list system of Parliament. They can't get their head around that you can throw an MP out in an electorate seat and that person can bounce back like a bent penny on the list. That sort of thing people find obnoxious, and it really insults the body politic and it insults the political system.
How do you feel about the referendum process as it stands?
The referendum process is skewed to retaining MMP. It's got no robust nature about it. A good referendum should be a robust, transparent operation. there needs to be a bit of blood on the floor. There needs to be a bit of passion about it. Where's the passion in this? This is going to be a very dull old referendum process, and in the end, I think people will turn away. They will not vote for change unless they can get excited about it. And yet this is a constitutional matter. We should be passionate, we should be excited, we should even be angry about it, and we're not. And part of what we're trying to do is to encourage people to participate in politics and hang on to what they've got, a really good democratic system that we're seeing ebb away bit by bit. We're losing what we used to have, which is a system the world looked at us with some real pride, and we're losing it now, and why should we let it go without a fight? And I'm not prepared to, and Peter Shirtcliffe isn't prepared to let our electoral system ebb away. We can do better than this, and we have to do better, and any system, with the exception of perhaps STV, is better than MMP. We can do much better, and we have to try so much harder to do it.
What do you think is the national government's feelings on this, government's attitude towards it?
Well, I think the national government is enjoying a good time in the polls. The Prime Minister's popular, the Labour Party is weak, and I think John Key says, well, I've mastered MMP, I've made it work, I've done a deal with the Maori Party. I can make MMP work. But this really is an illusion. MMP is destined to fail, and it will end in tears, and National will discover, as Labour did, that in the end minority parties can let it down. Now, notwithstanding the fact that politics look pretty calm at the moment, if we're to have the economic growth we want to match Australia, we need a political system that keeps up with Australia. MMP guarantees big spending. It protects institutions that should be abolished or be amended. It protects secure positions. And politics shouldn't do that. Politics should actually put people on their toes and put them at risk. In the end, the taxpayer pays the bill for politics, it pays for Parliament, it should have some say on how money is spent. And under MMP, very, very hard to bring about change, very hard to get rid of bad MPs, very hard to get rid of bad administrators. What we want is a system that delivers better democracy, instant democracy, and guarantees that if you vote for a change of government every 3 years, you get a change of government. The government that wins on the night is the government that can command the Treasury benches for the next 3 years. Under MMP, you don't get that. You get down to horse trading, and horse trading is dirty politics.